Welcome to the Vibrant You Health Show with your host, Blake Bars. At Nature's Pantry, our mission is to lead you to vibrant health through the best nutrition, supplementation, service, expertise, and healthy choices. In this show, we aren't interested in fads or quick fixes. Rather, we want to get into the holistic fundamentals of health. We want to answer questions like, what are the underlying causes to health issues, and what solutions can help lead us to vibrant health? You can watch every episode and listen to the podcast by visiting our website at naturespantry.life. The Vibrant You Health Show is brought to you by Terry Naturally Vitamins and Solar Ray Vitamins. At Nature's Pantry, we strive to work only with companies that maintain the highest standards for quality and efficacy. Terry Naturally and Solar Ray are two of the absolute best.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 44 of the Vibrant You Health Show. I am humbled and honored to have my special guest here today, renowned naturopathic doctor, author, speaker, Dr. Peter Glidden. Thank you so much, sir, for being with me.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate the platform. I'm going to do a name drop here. You ready?
Yeah.
So, as my second cousin, 6 times removed, Benjamin Franklin said, we must all hang together, or most assuredly we'll hang alone.
Yes, sir.
So especially in this climate, post-COVID, it's really important that people of the same mindset stick together and support each other, because the world that we live in, it's basically a prison planet run by the pharmaceutical industry on the medical side and run by, well-heeled families on the political side, and we're just puppets on the stage. No kidding. We desperately need a free medical market in this country. We desperately need personal empowerment, and that's what I'm all about. So I appreciate the platform.
Oh, amen to that. And I want to hear. I actually, that's one of the things I really want to talk about is the free medical market. But let's start at the top. And I've heard you said that that the root of cause of most all disease is nutritional. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, so from the naturopathic point of view, there's a couple of fundamentals for health, right? Number one, the basic supposition here, the basic foundation on which all naturopathic principles, quite frankly, all holistic types of medicine, chiropractic, acupuncture, Ayurveda, homeopathy, botanical medicine, naturopathic medicine, all believe that the human body is inhabited by a spiritual essence, which is intelligent and which is running the show. So our bodies know how to fix themselves. They want to fix themselves. They're trying to fix themselves all of the time, but they need help. So naturopathic medical doctors are charged with the obligation and the duty to discover and deliver therapeutics that support the body's built-in God-given ability to fix itself. So in this regard, there are 3 fundamental things to do. Number one, we have to make sure the body is completely nutrified, because the body needs raw materials to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But the raw materials that the body needs, essential nutrients, are not present in the food. Some of them are, or we'd be dead, but not all of them. And interestingly enough, talk about corruption at the highest levels. In the 1930s, the United States Department of Agriculture reported to Congress, look, the mineral composition of the soil is horrible. It's getting worse and worse. Something needs to be done. Congress did nothing. Minerals, things like calcium and phosphorus and sulfur and selenium and zinc, minerals are 2/3, 66% of the body's nutrient needs. It's the lion's share of the body's nutrient needs, and that stuff is no longer in the food. Our bodies are minerally deficient, period. If you are alive and you are not actively supplementing with a good mineral supplement, I don't care if you own 100 acres of the most organic farmland on planet Earth, you are under-mineralized. And if you are under-mineralized, it's only a matter of time until something in the body breaks. So we have to nutrify, number one. Number two, we have to develop smart, safe, effective detoxification programs because the body is loaded with crap in the air, crap in the water, crap in the food. It's loaded. And I mean loaded. If you knew what I know, you'd be horrified. So we have to detox, but we have to do that safely. And quite frankly, very few people know how to do that. And, Dr. Google has 1,000 different ways to detox yourself, most of which come from people in Hollywood who have their heads so far up their ass they can't see left from right anymore. Number 3, we have to make sure we're eating food that's not gumming up the works. If we do those 3 things,
Right.
those 3 things, then most of the time, generically, most of the time the body rallies and fixes itself.
Right.
I mean, you cut your finger, all you have to do is keep it clean and put a Band-Aid on it, the body fixes it.
Right.
Right. So this is the big deal. All chronic disease is either directly or indirectly related to nutrient deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the most famous historically is scurvy, right? The dreaded
Right.
pirate's disease.
Right.
Vitamin C deficiency. And scurvy is horrible, by the way. I mean, I don't know, you Google scurvy and look at some pictures of people that actually have scurvy. Their teeth fall out, their bones split, their skin has,
Right.
it's a horrible way to go.
They'd literally not had anything fresh fruit or anything for months, wasn't it? And yeah, you look at other nutritional deficiencies like niacin and iodine deficiencies where they put iodine in the salt. And I think it was Andrew Saul who said that the more toxins your body's dealing with, the more nutrients it needs to deal with the toxins. And it was actually
100%.
Dr. Newsom was talking about how the body will, like you have receptors in the cell to take metals like selenium, zinc, sulfur, things that are good for you. But if those nutrients aren't present, it will grab mercury, and then it will hang on to mercury until it actually, even when you give the nutrient, it won't let go until you flood the body with the nutrient, then it will let go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sophisticated process, the detoxification process. And, which is why the motto of the naturopathic physician is first we nutrify, then we detoxify. You have to do it that way. Otherwise, it's like stirring up a hornet's nest. If you just jump, head first into a detox program without nutrifying appropriately, you're going to hurt yourself.
Right. So let's talk about the nutrifying. What are the 90 nutrients that we need?
All right. There are 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids for a grand total of 90. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we'll discover 91, right? But right now, 90 essential nutrients. Now, this is an important thing for your listening audience to understand. A nutrient is considered essential if the body needs it, but cannot make it. Body can make cholesterol, which is really interesting. And that's a whole nother story. Cholesterol is not the Antichrist.
Right.
There's no relationship between heart disease and clogged arteries and cholesterol. Cholesterol is an extremely important nutrient for the body, so much so that it can make it. But there are 90 nutrients the body can't make. The body needs them. And unless they go down the hatch on a regular basis, it's only a matter of time until you run out of some of them, and then things start to break, and then you have an illness, and then you go to a knucklehead medical doctor who is not trained in physiology. They're only trained in pathology, and they're only trained how to manage illness by throwing a drug at it. So the heartburn is never cured, the depression is never cured, the insomnia, the arthritis, the obesity, the autism, the Alzheimer's, never cured. Managed with pharmaceuticals that never get to the root cause of the problem, making you weaker, sicker, and more dependent on drugs as you get older. It's a great business model. Because remember,
because it's potentially a toxin, your body's being depleted further of nutrients dealing with the toxin.
That's a great point that a lot of people overlook, because as the body's metabolizing a pharmaceutical, the pharmaceutical stimulates metabolic pathways in the body, and guess what they're made out of? Essential nutrients. So the longer that you're under the influence of a drug, it burns right through your nutrient reserves, which were poor to begin with.
Mhm.
This is the main reason, by the way, that the drugs stop working.
Right.
So, you're on a blood pressure medicine for a little while, your blood pressure is managed, then it stops working. Why does it stop working? Because it's burned through your nutrients. So they got to add a second medicine or a third, and then you're SOL. So it's really, really important, the nutrification of the human body, and the really important nutrient family are the minerals. That is super, super important to overall human health, mineral supplementation.
And is it true that, so we hear about vitamins and minerals, but then also enzymes, do they all work together?
Yeah, they all work together. The body has enzymes ready to go, but a lot of the cofactors for the enzymes to work are minerals. And so you don't have the minerals, your enzymes can't work, and you're SOL.
Mhm.
So, it's like a symphony, man, and it all fits together.
Mhm.
And all you have to do, you don't need blood work to figure out how many nutrients you have in your body. That none of that technology does not exist, by the way. And even if it did exist, it would only tell you what your nutrient status was at that moment in time that you were examined. So rather than try to micromanage, we just lean on the intelligence of the body. So we figure the body knows what's best. So we just give the body everything that it needs.
Mhm.
In recipes, this is an important factor. In recipes that the body can absorb,
Mhm.
and then we get the hell out of the way and let the body go to work, because the body knows how to use that stuff. The body knows how to fix itself.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really interesting. It doesn't really seem like some result of some cosmic accident that our bodies are designed to heal, and this complex mechanism that's really designed. And it's interesting that our modern world is basically taking away everything that the body literally needs to do what it needs to do to be
That
healthy.
was done on purpose.
Yeah.
By the way. So my colleagues and I have deciphered the wonderful world of food.
Hmm.
And as far as we're concerned, there are 12 foods that nobody should look at, let alone eat. There's 12 of them. Maybe tomorrow, right, we'll discover another one, right?
Yeah.
12 bad foods. And it's not a coincidence that these foods are what people eat all of the time. All of the time.
Mhm.
These foods people eat all of the time. These foods are hurting us. And the more that we eat them, the more inflammation there is in the body, the less nutrients there are in the body. It's like putting diesel fuel into an unleaded engine. That's just a stupid idea. The car's going to run like crap if it runs at all. Nothing wrong with the car. You just put the wrong fuel in it. Well, who told you what fuel to put in it? The people who make the damn food.
Mhm.
And also medical experts who have no training, no experience, no respect, and no appreciation for medical nutrition. This is how deep down the rabbit hole we've gone in our, genuflection at the altar of the medical doctor. It's nonsense.
Mhm. What are the
Medical
12
doctors are
foods?
good for military field medicine and trauma care,
Right. Like seriously,
surgery when it's necessary.
if I break my leg in an automobile accident, take me to the ER. Don't keep your damn essential oils.
A good friend of mine's a world famous orthopedic surgeon. He's retired now, but I mean, he was a advisor for Reagan.
Right. As far as saving lives and like, there's no, like, our system is amazing.
Yeah, it's really, and this is interesting because that surgery and trauma care are the only areas of medicine that have advanced in the last 100 years.
Mhm.
The stuff they can do now with surgery,
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what they can do. But for everything else,
Yeah.
it's a crap show.
Well, for chronic illness, right? That's really where it falls short.
It doesn't just fall short.
It doesn't know what cause. We don't know what cause. Or
Well, naturopathic doctors do,
Yeah.
but conventional doctors do not. And I mean, there's a reason for everything, right? Again, from the proper perspective, everything makes sense. And so what we have been socialized to believe is that there's one type of medicine, it's MD medicine, and every other type of medicine is quackery. It's like back of the bus, dangerous voodoo medicine. The only people that own the secret decoder ring to all things medical are people with MD after their name, and that's a lie.
The decoder ring, that's awesome.
Medicine's like a big umbrella underneath which many disciplines hang, and MDs practice allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine is based on the physics of Sir Isaac Newton, and it is reductionistic. Allopathic medicine argues if it can't be measured, it does not exist. So, since nobody's dissected the soul or the spirit or seen it with an MRI or a CT or an ultrasound, doesn't exist. Consciousness, believe it or not, medical doctors are trained to believe that consciousness itself is a function of biochemistry. And that when you die, it's lights out, game over. There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as spirit. There's no such thing as the afterlife. Those things are fictions because they can't be measured. And an indwelling intelligent spirit is a fiction. So medical doctors believe, they're trained, that the human body is a bag of biochemicals waiting to break. And when it does break, it's not the doctor's job to cure it because that is not possible. If that was possible, it never would have broken in the first place. It's the doctor's job to manage the illness. So chronic disease is never cured, it's managed.
Right.
And the only thing that they're good at are things which are the epitome of reductionism. You know, you got a bullet in your arm, heaven forbid, or your leg's blown off, and that's what they're good at. But for everything else, it's a crap show. And my mantra always has and always will be,
and
fire your medical doctor now.
Sure. And you know, don't get me wrong, like some of the most amazing people I know are nurses and doctors, and they got into the profession because they want to help people. It's just the system doesn't really train them to get to the root cause of chronic illness. That's
right. And so they should drop out of medical school and become a naturopath or become a homeopath or become a chiropractor or become an herbalist. That's what they should do.
Yeah. Well, that would
or, specialize in trauma care, join the army and be a field surgeon.
Well, and all these areas are good to have, right? It's just that some of them have a bigger seat at the table than others. And that gets into what we talked about with the free medical market. And you say that we don't have a free medical market, and that's something I've thought as well. Why? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, and this is, everybody agrees, because this isn't rocket science, that in the world of commerce, monopolies are not good, right? Because absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, we regulated the telecommunications industry about 30 years ago because AT&T owned the world of telecommunications, and a long distance call was, like $1 million a minute, right? So we took that monopoly apart, no problem. That's a good thing. We understand that at a certain point, monopolization of a marketplace is counterproductive to the social good. But we've existed inside of a medical monopoly since 1912. And it is so overarching and began before anybody is alive today, began in 1912, that people don't even recognize it as a monopoly. So in 1912, through the influence of the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, Congress granted the American Medical Association exclusive control over who could and who couldn't practice medicine in the United States of America. It was, in fact, a hostile takeover of the medical marketplace, sold to an unassuming public as cleaning up medical education, making medicine safe for everybody, getting rid of the quacks. It wasn't getting rid of the quacks. It was getting rid of the competition to the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, who had moneyed interests in the pharmaceutical industry. So it was a big push, a hostile takeover is the best way to describe it, of the medical marketplace. And everybody who wasn't an MD was kicked off the bus. The chiropractors, the naturopaths, the homeopaths, the herbalists. If you weren't an MD, you weren't practicing pharmaceutical reductionistic medicine, you're a quack.
Right. It was a witch
And
hunt.
what you do is illegal. And then then they did a language monopoly.
Yeah. People
On
got
the
put in jail, people got fined, people got ostracized out of their profession, written up in newspapers, defamed, on and on and on. And then, like you were saying, then it was the word, taking control of what the meaning of the words are, basically.
That's 100% correct. And they started educating doctors in medicine in Latin to make it seem to the public that medicine was this highfalutin thing that was really complicated and you had to be the smartest person in class to be able to understand it. They mystified the practice of medicine, and then they completely raised the bar on drug research. And there's another fun fact to know and tell. Most people are unaware of this. In the United States of America, the only thing that can legally treat a disease is a drug. Let me say that once more. In the United States of America, the only thing that can legally treat a disease is a drug.
Which is interesting because a drug is, as opposed to a natural substance, can be patented and marked up 4,000%.
Bada bing, bada boom. Follow the money, baby. That's all you have to do. And that's why you go to the health food store, it says blood sugar support. It doesn't say diabetes fix.
Right.
Right. It's circulatory support. It doesn't say blood pressure help. Right. That's done.
They've handicapped. They've Achilles healed us to where we can't even say what it's good for without being risked of going out of business and everything else. And so now you're saying things like, oh, this might do this, but I can't say that because I'm not a doctor. And then the person's left feeling like, well, you can't really help me then, right? Like, I can't trust this.
Well, you've cracked the code. That is it, 100%. This was all done on purpose. That's why they did it. And now, in order to bring a drug to the market, it's like $60 million.
Right.
So nutritional supplement companies can't compete.
And
so, if I just
never going to have a double-blind placebo-controlled trial.
No, and remember, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So there was a woman named, I think her name was Maria Angel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you spell her last name Angel. She was the editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine, I think, or the Journal of the American Medical Association for years. The editor of one of the most prestigious peer-reviewed medical journals in the world. And when she retired, she wrote a book. It was on the New York Times bestseller that nobody pays any attention to now, and they should. And basically she said, and I'm paraphrasing, medical journals have devolved into information laundering campaigns for drug companies. So if a drug company is rolling out a new drug and they do 100 tests, 98 of those tests show negative outcomes and 2 tests show positive outcomes. The positive outcomes are published, the negative outcomes are not. And it happens all of the time. So the scientific community is completely compromised, was writ large during COVID.
Right. I think it was Andreas Moritz who talked about how
that's right.
The placebo controlled trials, if they even so much as say half of you are getting a blood pressure medication and half of you are getting placebo pill, then the whole study is null and void.
And that goes to the old saying, well, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. Right? So, and again, all of this nonsense can only happen inside of a self-policing, self-regulating monopoly.
Right. This
would not survive in a free medical market.
Right.
And I've always said, because it's correct,
right,
that if by some genie in the bottle magic we woke up tomorrow and there were just as many naturopathic doctors as MDs, and insurance paid for everything, and universities did 50% of their research on holistic therapeutics and 50% on drugs, right? And it would equal access to all types of medicine within 2 years. Medical doctors would be out of a job except the trauma care docs and the surgery docs, because in a free medical market, people gravitate towards what works. And when it comes to chronic disease,
Right.
the holistic therapeutics are unbelievable. If you knew 1%, if you'd seen 1% of what I've seen people recover from in the last 35 years, you would be beating down the doors of your local naturopathic doctor, if there even is one, begging them to become, for you to become their patient. Because naturopathic medicine, honest to God, the best kept secret in the modern medical marketplace, because naturopathic medicine is based upon natural law. And our intention is to deliver therapeutics which attempt to cure the condition, because we focus on physiology and the MDs focus on pathology. And when you simply focus on pathology, you've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because it's not the tumor that's the disease. That the cancerous tumor, for example, is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. So when you remove the tumor surgically, or you dissolve it with chemo, or you burn it with radiation, it comes back. Because the tumor is not the disease, it's the result of the disease. And it's the same with arthritis, it's the same with depression, it's the same with everything.
It's a symptom.
The pathology is the result of the problem. It's not the root cause of the problem, but the MDs only focus over here. Naturopathic doctors focus on physiology, and that's why we cure people, and the medical doctors do not.
Right. And that's a really amazing point. And but on the market, on the free market, we have this thing today, this cultural whatever movement that's like anti-capitalism, right? And the thing about it is, capitalism, whatever the definition, like, I don't think we're in some kind of weird pseudo form of like corporate, big business, elite government, in bed together, running a monopoly, right? It's not capitalism. It's not a free market.
Right.
In order to have a free market, you have to be able to people have to have true information. We have to have or at least all the information, right?
Right.
We got to be allowed equal access to all the information. When we have all the information, then we can make informed decisions and vote with our dollars. But when the information is being spoon-fed to us by the very people who are selling the products and benefiting from the sale of the products, then we've got a problem, right? And you talked, actually, I heard you quote this verse, "My people are destroyed by a lack of knowledge." Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that and how the knowledge is kept from people?
Well, for example, I mean, most people are unaware that medical doctors don't practice medicine. They practice allopathic medicine. Most people don't understand what allopathic medicine is. They don't know what it's good for. They don't know what it's bad for. And let's be honest, I mean, most people don't even know how to pronounce naturopathy, let alone know what the training of a naturopathic doctor is, or what we're good at and what we're bad at. These data points are kept away from the public, and it's done on purpose. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And,
right.
People are not aware of the 12 bad foods. People are not aware of the body's innate ability to fix itself. People have not been educated about essential nutrients.
Right.
People don't know. And they're kept in the dark on purpose.
Right.
Because if people did know, there'd be a revolution. I mean, there would be a revolution.
Well, like
world.
You said, if two of the most found in all I've read of the last few years, I've read a lot of books about natural health, and the two underlying principles I feel like is the two that you said, which are, number one, nutrify the body, number two, detoxify the body.
Right. And
neither of those things are taught in medical school.
No, medical doctors get 0 hours in medical nutrition. I was talking to my friend Dave Janda. He's the retired orthopedic surgeon, and he said he was taught one thing about medical nutrition in medical school, that vitamin A in large doses could kill you, and it was the liver of polar bears that concentrated vitamin A, so never eat polar bear liver. That was the beginning and the end of his education in medical nutrition. So the medical and you know, I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because the education of the medical doctor or any PhD was set up in a particular way. It was an educational technique developed in Germany, and the intention of the doctoral degree granting program is to get the candidates to all think inside of a particular box.
Mhm.
And if you go outside of that box, even if you're correct, you don't get your degree,
Right.
or you're kicked out of the profession.
Right.
And we saw that in COVID. I
Right.
mean, medical doctors getting kicked out, getting deplatformed, getting censored,
Right.
because they went against the narrative. They dared to speak outside of the box. But look, it's difficult because of the educational process that happens when you're a doctor. It's really difficult to step outside of that frame of reference. It's really hard. You know, cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. It's really difficult to do that. And then, oh my God, how am I going to make money? And oh my God, it's difficult for people to break, take the red pill and snap out of that. And there are a handful of medical doctors that have done that. But this is always interesting, because when people have a come to Jesus moment with medicine, it's never the holistic doctor wants to become an MD. That never happened. It's always the MDs. They have the aha moment. They want to practice holistic medicine. It always goes that way. Why is that? Because natural medicine is consistent with God's laws. I mean, it's like once you've experienced the truth, you're in its velvet grasp forever. And don't get me wrong, man. My profession does not have the be-all, end-all solution to all human ailments. We don't have that, but we have very effective methods, which most people are completely in the dark of. And, my people are destroyed.
Right.
Lack of knowledge.
Right.
Hey, it's Nicole Haggerty, your holistic health and fitness coach. If you want to improve your health and life and get lasting results, you have to be the change you want to see. Let me help you be that change. Find me at NicoleHaggerty.com.
Hey, Eastern Oregon. My name is Justin Hernandez. I specialize in sports performance training for middle school, high school, and college athletes. My program goal is to optimize an athlete's potential on all playing surfaces. The Breakfast Club motto is creating elite athletes, but even better leaders.
This is Summer Steele of Body Seorsa. I am a licensed massage therapist and certified personal trainer. I work with bodies of all shapes, sizes, and abilities to help them live a fuller and freer life. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook under Body Seorsa, Body SAORSA, or contact me at 541-786-5245.
My name is Blake Bars, and I'm General Manager of Nature's Pantry here in La Grande. I had a terribly unhealthy lifestyle when I started working here. I just didn't know how simple and powerful healthy habits could be. Now I love being able to lead others to vibrant health here at the store, through the health show, and in the health challenges we host twice per year. Learn more at naturespantry.life.
Hey friends, Lacey here with Wild Holistic Nutrition and Fitness. As a certified personal trainer and holistic nutritionist with 17 years of experience, I'm passionate about guiding others in their journey to wellness. I work in the areas of sports performance, group and individual fitness, personal training, behavioral and nutritional coaching, and gut biodome health and assessment. I'd love to help you feel good so that you can thrive and meet the purpose you were made for.
Tim James here, founder of ChemicalFreeBody.com and host of the Health Heroes Show. After regaining my own health and having massive gut issues and surgery, I'm on a mission to help others do the same. If you're ready to make your health a priority, lose that weight, increase your energy, and just wake up and feel good, you can reach me at ChemicalFreeBody.com.
So, and this you hit on this a little bit too earlier. If somebody wants to go, and here's the thing, right? Like, okay, I have a chronic illness and I want to explore my options. well, what am I going to do? Like 99% of people are going to go to the doctor that their insurance pays for, and then they're going to do the solution that's presented to them convincingly that their insurance pays for.
Right.
And so, and then not to mention, even though your insurance pays for it, it doesn't mean it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars. It's just through a subsidized, government-funded, monopoly and then you pay your insurance or whatever. But anyway, the point is it still costs lots and lots of money, right? But then on the other side of that, I mean, it's not out of my pocket, so whatever, But on the other side, if I want to go a naturopathic route, I'm going to have to pay money out of my pocket, and I'm going to have to do a lot of work. Oftentimes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of learning. I've got to, in a lot of ways, become my own doctor and try to, because nobody's going to spend as much time on my health than I will. Nobody's going to.
Well, your naturopathic doctor will.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the first visit with a naturopath doctor is an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time anyone ever spent an hour and a half talking to a doctor? Never happens in conventional medicine.
Mm.
But this goes to the point, right? And you're absolutely correct. Because of the language monopoly and the knowledge monopoly, people are unaware that science-based, clinically verified, licensed and regulated alternatives to MD medicine exist.
Right.
I mean, if you had a problem with your tooth, here's what you would not do. You wouldn't do a Google search, try to figure out what the problem with your tooth was, order the dental equipment yourself, and try to fix your own tooth. You wouldn't do that. You would try to find a good dentist, right?
Yeah.
But that's what people do when they're confronted with a chronic health condition and they don't trust the MDs.
Right.
They try to figure it out themselves. And my message is plain and clear and simple. If you are frustrated with conventional medicine, if you are starting to see through the chinks in their armor, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then the first thing you should do is seek out a licensed and regulated holistic healthcare provider, a naturopathic doctor, a homeopathic doctor, an Ayurvedic doctor, or chiropractor. Go to see them and let them shoulder your burden. And people aren't aware of these options, or if they are aware, they've got the socialized meme in the back of their brain all the time. Well, those guys are quacks. Those guys are quacks. Those guys are quacks. Those guys are quacks. And then you sit in the office of a medical doctor, got the white coat, they got the stethoscope, they got all the books on the wall. There's, you go outside the office into the hospital, and there's millions of dollars of high-tech equipment. There's all these people walking around. They're all smoking. They're all drunk the Kool-Aid. So it's really easy to become enrolled in whatever the medical doctor says, just because of 100 years of monopolization and socialization. I mean, look at the direct-to-consumer ads on TV. Oh, side effects could include death. Side effects could include blindness. Oh, your left arm might fall off, but your psoriasis is going to look great. and we're all okay with that. And it's, my head explodes every time I see that stuff, because I've seen the other side.
Right. Okay, so when I work with people, I feel like a lot of them, of course, the people I talk to are already interested in naturopathic methods.
Yeah.
Their biggest barrier is the money part of it. Yeah. And if I have said this, if a guy was going to spend his life doing anything and fighting for something, getting insurance to cover naturopathic medicine would completely change. Allopathic and trauma care would not go away, but we would have a free market. The playing field would be leveled, and people would be able to vote, make their own decisions, and you would have people flocking to naturopathic medicine. But is that even possible? Like, is that even could ever happen without some kind of major problem first?
Well, all right.
So
it's an interesting thing to talk about, and we have to be pragmatic and practical when we're having this conversation, right? So I graduated naturopathic medical school. And by the way, for those of you in the listening audience that don't know, to become a licensed naturopath in the U.S., 4 years pre-med, 4 years naturopathic medical school at a fully accredited by the United States Department of Education medical school, 1,000 hours of clinical supervision. Then you got to graduate. Then you got to pass national boards. Then you got to pass state boards. Then you got to do 25 hours of continuing education credit every year. And then you got to get a license to practice naturopathic medicine. It's full-blown primary care medicine. However, to your point, right now, naturopathic medicine in July of 2023 is only licensed in 23 states in the United States, and it is a felony to practice naturopathic medicine in 2. Well, what the hell does this mean? That the laws of nature or science change when you cross a state line? No, it's all about the money, baby. It's all about the turf. The medical doctors do not want competition. But you are absolutely correct that if we were licensed and regulated in all 50 states and insurance paid for everything,
right,
there would be a bum's rush to the naturopathic doctor's office. And one more thing while it's on the top of my mind, forgive me.
No, please.
I tend to grandstand. Please forgive me.
No, please.
I go off like this. When I graduated medical school in 1991, there were 5 states, maybe 7, that licensed and regulated naturopathic medicine. Now there's 22. So that's progress.
Yeah.
31 years. Is there going to be a sweeping change in my lifetime? I don't think so. I floated an idea to the Trump campaign, and I know they looked at it because I've got insiders, and I knew they looked at it. The creation of a Federal Department of Holistic Medicine in order to regulate vitamins and minerals and herbs and everything that the pharmaceutical industry is at odds with. That would be great. Licensed naturopathic medicine, federal mandate. Naturopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, available everywhere. Insurance pays for everything. It'd be a great idea. But Big Pharma don't like that. Big Pharma ain't going to play that game. And now Big Pharma, who had more money than God, has twice as much money as God since COVID. All the money that they've raked in, and they are going for the jugular now. They're coming after holistic medicine. I do not think our chances of survival of alternative medicine in the United States, and I hate that term, by the way, and let me just riff on this for a minute. Calling what I do alternative medicine is like saying, well, the only real dog is a German Shepherd, and every other dog is an alternative dog. Right. That's nonsense. But again, that's a function of the socialization and the monopolization of the medical marketplace that we've all grown up inside of. So I don't know, man. 22 is better than 7 states, but Big Pharma don't like us.
Well, I don't think from a natural viewpoint or from a materialistic viewpoint, I don't think David stood much of a chance against Goliath either.
I like your attitude, man. Very much. So yeah, I mean, I'm a glasses half full kind of a guy most of the time. So I'm optimistic. And I mean, the other side to that coin is, I mean, the only reason that my profession continues to exist in such a hostile medical climate is because more often than not, we get results. And you can only put a bushel over that light for so long. Right. Because the truth will out. Right. The truth will out. So there is hope. There is.
Okay. A few little things in closing here. Do you have, so there was some talk at one point of like health savings accounts starting to cover supplements. I know there were some senators trying to get some legislation or a bill for that. Do you know anything about that? Or do you know any insurance companies that are covering naturopathic medicine, or any tips on that, or anything you've had success with insurance companies?
No, the only insurance companies that, I don't know if they're really called insurance companies, are the faith-based co-ops, where you pay a certain amount of money.
They'll cover naturopathic stuff.
Yeah, they will. I don't know if they'll cover supplements. They might. They're all, it's they're all boutique and they all have their own rules and their own regulations. And here's what I want to say about the whole insurance thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this speaks to the brainwashing, for lack of a better word. In the United States of America, well, in Canada or the European Union, it's socialized medicine, so they take medical money right out of your paycheck without your say-so. But in the United States, insurance is optional. If you buy into it, you pay a small fortune over the course of your life in medical insurance premiums. It's a small fortune. Do the math.
Right.
And here's the irony. While you are paying medical insurance premiums to get access to health care, you got sick. While you were under the care of the medical doctor, you got sick. While you were under their care, which means they suck at what they do, number one. And then when you do get sick, the medical doctor does not have a cure for your condition. All that the medical doctor has is management of your condition. Medical doctors, bless their hearts, do not practice healthcare. They practice disease management. There's a gigantic difference between healthcare and disease management. So my advice is stop spending medical, just extricate yourself from the medical insurance mousetrap. Stop paying medical insurance premiums. Pay yourself instead. Put your medical insurance premium money in a savings account and don't touch it. And use that money for medical care moving forward. And let's, heaven forbid, you're in an automobile accident.
Yeah. I think there's a place for catastrophic insurance and life flight and things like that.
Yeah. But I mean, even if you don't, even if you're just putting money into your own account,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now you're in a car crash and your medical treatment's going to cost $20,000. The medical provider, the hospital, is a business. They don't want to go broke. They don't want to get into collections. So you make a deal with them, and they often have cut rates for people without insurance. And they'll put you on a payment plan, which is probably less than the money that you were paying for medical insurance to begin with.
Right. And there's no interest most of the time.
That's correct. But the point that I want to drive home here is it's better than to hope you don't get sick, which is just a stupid way to think, because you will get sick if you continue along the path you're on. If you pay no attention to your diet, if you do not supplement, if you do not take active steps to therapeutically strengthen your body, it's only a matter of time until something breaks.
Right.
You need to educate yourself about what you can do right now,
right,
to make yourself healthy. That is the smartest thing that anybody can do.
And that leads to me to one of my last points, which is your website, drglidden.com. It's right there on the screen. And this is hundreds of hours of information for people who are seeking health solutions for their own chronic illness. Tools you can learn yourself. It's like we were talking about before the show. The word doctor actually means teacher.
Right.
And what we need to develop as people is we need to become students.
Right.
We need to learn how to apply. We need to get in tune to our own bodies, and we need to learn how to apply these principles ourselves. And to be able to get information from a doctor like yourself who's been practicing naturopathic medicine for 35 years,
yeah,
and have that information is a really valuable thing. And I'd like to point people to your resource that you've provided. You spent a lot of time putting it together. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, this from the from the self-promotion, the shameless self-promotion, right? So over 35 years as a licensed naturopathic doctor, you see patterns that develop. And there are things that everybody can do starting today, right now, from the comfort of their own home, things that they can do in order to support their body's built-in God-given ability to fix itself. And they're easy. If you're smart enough to pass the driver's license test, you're smart enough to learn what to do to help your body be healthy and strong. And I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life, and moving forward, this is where the future is for me, in putting together easy to understand informational tutorials to help people see the light of holistic medicine, understand it, know when to apply it, know when to go to the medical doctor, but more importantly, to learn strategies, self-help, health recovery, not based on research and supposition and theory, but based on clinical experience of myself and my colleagues. I mean, again, we don't have the cure-all, end-all, be-all, but you wouldn't believe the things we've seen people recover from. You wouldn't believe it. And ironically, often people, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but it's true, that most of the time you don't even need a doctor's appointment. You just need to stop eating this crap, start eating this stuff, take these supplements, take this herb, and see how the heck you feel. And most of the time, it's as simple as that. And I line that up for people at drglidden.com. Check it out. Let me help you extricate yourself from the conventional medical mousetrap, because now's a good time to do that.
That's awesome. And it's an affordable subscription. One of the things you talked about before the show was how your goal is just to make it an affordable thing that people can access, which is awesome. I mean, and I'm going to put a link to that site in the description of the show, and I'll have a website page with that link as well, and you can go directly to his website as well. So in closing, what final words of encouragement do you have, or and even better yet, or in addition to, would you be willing, I think my audience would be really interested in the 12 foods that you should absolutely avoid. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. You got your notebook out?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. By the way, this is the last time you're going to like me. Okay, here we go. Wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Grains that contain gluten. Gluten is a big bad voodoo daddy, not because you're allergic to it like someone with celiac is, but because the gluten protein is really hard for the digestive tract to disassemble. And when you get an intact protein tumbling through the small intestine instead of individual amino acids that the proteins are made from, you damage the small intestine. What is the small intestine's job? The small intestine's job is to absorb nutrients. So the more wheat, barley, rye, and oats that you eat, the more damage happens to your digestive tract, and the harder it becomes for your body to absorb nutrients. Now, there aren't enough nutrients in the food to begin with. Now, I talked about that at the beginning. Everybody needs to supplement. But if you damage the anatomical structures that absorb nutrients, and you're not eating enough nutrients anyway, yeah, that's not a good recipe for health. It's a recipe for disaster. So wheat, barley, rye, and oats, stop eating them. If you're going to do grains, do gluten-free grains only. And it's also not a bad idea as a little in-house experiment for 4 weeks in a row, just stop eating all grains completely. See how it makes you feel. It's not going to apply for everybody, because some people are okay with the metabolization of gluten-free grains. Other people are not. But everybody, in my opinion, should avoid wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Okay,
you think
that's
proteolytic enzymes would help break apart gluten protein?
That's a great question. People ask me that all the time. The answer is I don't know.
Okay.
But I would rather not mess around with that.
Yeah, it would be good for individuals to try without any grains for 4 weeks and see how you do. And then if you're going to reintroduce it, see how you feel, and then potentially try the proteolytic enzymes and see if it helps or not.
Yeah, and when you reintroduce it, if you do the elimination challenge of anything, right? When you reintroduce it, eat a lot of it. Like a lot of it. Like, pancakes for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, pizza for dinner, donuts for snacks, right? Go crazy for grains for a couple of days, and then you'll know whether or not these things are hurting you or not. And this is a really important thing, because if I'm right and this stuff is bad for you, if you continue to eat it, I mean, it doesn't really matter how many supplements you take or what else you do, because it's going to be 2 steps forward with the health recovery program and 2 steps backward every time you eat.
Right.
So this is really important stuff. Okay, so number 5 is oil in a bottle. Fried food. I mean olive oil, vegetable oil, any oil in a bottle, because it will oxidize. And when you consume an oxidized oil, you're delivering free radicals to the body, which cause inflammation. And by the way, olive oil, there's a whole black market or mafia with olive oil, and most olive oil that makes its way into this country isn't what it says it is on the label. But even if it was, if you can grow an olive tree in your house, you pick the olives off of it, you squeeze the oil out, and you eat the oil right after you squeezed it off the olive, you can have that, no problem. But when you stick it in a bottle and then ship it 1,000,000 miles, it will oxidize because there's air in the top of the bottle. And that's not good. And then when you cook with it, it oxidizes rapidly and creates a nasty chemical that causes cancer called acrylamide or a heterocyclic amine. And these things are carcinogenic and they're bad for you. And the next food on the list is fried food, anything fried. That was really interesting. There was a guy named Lucien LePage who worked for Harvard, where he was Harvard educated, and he did an analysis of the all the life expectancies in the United States, county by county. And he had a color-coded map. And if you look at LePage's map, underneath the Mason-Dixon line and a couple of places in the West, like Indian reservations in the West, the life expectancy is dramatically shorter than anywhere else in the country. Why is that? Because in the South, fried food is a freaking religion. People eat fried food in the South more than anywhere else in the United States, and that there's a reason for that, but it's bad for you. Fried food is bad for you. It introduces carcinogenic chemicals into the human body, and you get net loss from the consumption of fried food.
Would you rank oils potentially like olive oil, avocado oil, coconut potentially better than like seed oils or canola oil? Or
if it's an oil that's in a bottle, it hasn't been nitrogenated, if it's just oxygen at the top of the bottle, don't eat it, don't cook with it. If you want to cook something in a skillet, use lard. Use bacon fat, chicken fat, pork fat, goose fat, duck fat, and your food will taste better.
Butter?
Butter's fine unless you have an intolerance to butter. About 25% of people do have an intolerance to butter. The only way you can really determine that is with blood work. But even if you do have an intolerance to butter, you can remove the protein from the butter, which is called clarified butter or ghee, Ghee, which Indians, they use ghee a lot, and it's easy to get in an Indian market. Yeah, I'm a big fan of butter if you don't have an intolerance to it. Okay, next food on the list is carbonated beverage with a meal. That's anything that's got bubbles in it. I don't care if it's Perrier or Dom Perignon, right? Beer. If it's got bubbles in it, you can eat it between meals or after a meal, but not before a meal, not with a meal, because the bubbles neutralize stomach acid. And people's stomach acid is too weak to begin with. Because in order to have healthy stomach acid, there's 2 things that you need. Calcium, which is a mineral, and wait for it, salt. And who has told you to avoid salt?
Everyone.
Medical doctors have. There's no relationship between salt and high blood pressure. It does not exist. That was proven in Harvard in the early 1950s. Doesn't exist. You can overdo it with salt. Most people don't. So you need to be salting your food so that it tastes good. And I prefer sea salt. Not Himalayan salt, not salt from the ground, but salt from the ocean, or salt from the Great Salt Lake in Utah.
How long for a carbonated beverage after a meal?
No, nobody knows. I'm going to say 30 minutes.
Okay.
After the end of the meal. Now, if you're suffering from heartburn at all, you've got heartburn on and off for all the time, and you have to just don't drink anything carbonated ever until you get on the other side of the heartburn. And heartburn is one of the easiest things in the world to fix. You need to mineralize your body, take extra calcium, and salt your food so that it tastes good. You do those two things, your heartburn will go away within 21 days. And if it doesn't, I will quit my job and never practice medicine again.
Wow.
It is one of the easiest things in the world to fix.
Wow, that's cool.
But I digress. Okay, next on the list, I think, if I can remember, is meat that's cooked well done. You're going to eat a steak, have it rare or medium rare. Unless you cook it in a crock pot. If you cook it slowly or in a soup or a stew, you can cook it all the way through. But if you're cooking it on a grill or in the oven, rare or medium rare. Because meat that's cooked well done, the protein turns into a chemical called a heterocyclic amine, which is carcinogenic. And this is why every once in a while, the medical doctors, in their stupidity, their short-sightedness, will float a study that says, oh, meat consumption related to cancer. It's not meat consumption. It's well done meat consumption, and or next on the list, meat that has preservatives added to it, nitrates. And you know, they spray nitrates onto the meat to keep it looking red in the deli case. Otherwise, it'll turn brown in 3 hours, right? Nobody's going to buy that. So meat that has nitrates added to it, don't eat that. So if you're going to cook bacon, fine, just have bacon without nitrates. You're going to have turkey, fine, turkey without nitrates. You're going to have sausage, fine, sausage without the nitrates. Okay? Okay, very good. Next on the list is corn or soy, which has been genetically modified or is not organic. And this, by the way, interestingly enough, and I don't know what happened at the World Health Organization, but they got this one right, about 7 years ago. It's actually the World Health Organization that says corn, which is genetically modified or grown with herbicides, or soy, are directly related to death by stroke, 3 other things that are not good. Cancer. Yeah, cancer is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going to have corn or soy, then make sure it's organic, not GMO.
Probably heart disease and cancer.
Oh, death, but did I say stroke? Yeah, I did say stroke.
Yeah.
So let me see if I've got them all. I got wheat, barley, rye, and oats, oil in a bottle, fried food, meat cooked well done, meat with nitrates, carbonated beverage with a meal, corn, soy. There's one more.
Okay. Oh, you already said that. Soy.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe I can bring up my list here.
Refined sugar.
Well, no, that's
fine flour.
That's different. No. Oh, here it is. Let me pull it up here. Oh, the skins of baked potatoes, yams, or sweet potatoes. Right, if they're crispy. So like a twice baked potato, you can eat the potato, but not the skin, because the skin also, like meat, contains heterocyclic amines, and that's not good. If you boil the potato, or the yam or the sweet potato, you can eat the skin. But if you bake it and the skin is crispy, no bueno.
What if it's still moist after you bake it?
No. It's the heat of the oven changes the molecular structure of the skin and creates heterocyclic amines, which are carcinogenic.
So boiling it is healthier.
Yeah, much healthier. Or putting it in a crock pot or a stew. Or steaming it.
Steaming is a new cooking method. We actually have a juice bar and deli here, and we got rid of the microwave a while back and added a steamer.
Yeah.
And that is actually a chef here in town, Merlin. He's amazing. He was like, you got to get a steamer. Like, that's the best way to cook anything.
It is the best way. It's the food. It tastes different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
When
can
you're cooking with
taste the
water,
difference.
it's hydrating, it's adding moisture rather than taking it away.
Yeah.
And it's less of a fire hazard than an air fryer.
So it's all these little things, man, add up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the reasons that, people, oh, I'm healthy. And then they wake up one day and they got high blood pressure.
Right.
Where the heck did that come from? I'll tell you where it came from. It came from 25 years of eating all the wrong foods and not nutrifying your body and doing nothing at all to detoxify it. That's where it came from. This isn't rocket science, right?
Right.
Our bodies are so smart, they grew themselves all by themselves into you. And right now, our bodies are managing billions of biochemical reactions all by themselves, completely outside of our conscious control. This speaks to an innate intelligence inside the body. And this is our message. The body knows how to fix itself. The body wants to fix itself. The body's trying to fix itself.
Yeah.
Just have to be smart and support that. And when you do that, that's when the magic happens. And that's why I get up every morning to help people do that.
That's beautiful. And that's exactly, I was actually going to ask you to close with that because it's such a great point. And we are truly fearfully and wonderfully made and designed. It's just really a remarkable thing. And the more you learn about the human body, the more mind blown one becomes about the miraculous complexity.
Yeah, this isn't an evolutionary fiat. I'm here to tell you that right now.
Dr. Glidden, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this with us. For those of you listening, again, that's drglidden.com. I'm going to be posting that link for you and put it on the flyer. I'll make a flyer for this show, and that'll have all the info as well. And thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you all for joining us. God bless you. Love you guys. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye for now.
The information provided in this show is intended for your general knowledge only and is not medical advice. If you have or suspect you have a specific medical condition or disease, please consult your healthcare provider. If your provider has a strong understanding of nutrition and holistic health, even better. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nature's Pantry.